Technical challenges in the construction industry include a slow pace of technological adoption, difficulties with integrating disparate software and hardware, cybersecurity risks, inadequate digital infrastructure, and resistance to change from a workforce less familiar with new technologies. These are compounded by issues such as managing project documentation, fragmented communication, managing the complex digital aspects of supply chains, and the high costs of implementing new digital tools and training the workforce. Slow and uneven technology adoption. Resistance to change. A significant portion of the workforce, particularly older generations, may resist adopting new technologies due to unfamiliarity, which hinders productivity and efficient implementation. High implementation costs. The initial investment in new hardware, software, and the necessary IT infrastructure can be prohibitive for many construction firms. Inadequate infrastructure. A lack of robust digital infrastructure, such as reliable internet access on construction sites, can make the integration and use of new technologies difficult. Data and documentation challenges. Fragmented documentation. Managing vast amounts of project data, from designs to contracts and progress reports, remains a challenge, especially when using outdated or disconnected systems. Cybersecurity risks. Increased reliance on digital tools creates vulnerabilities to cyber attacks, which can compromise sensitive company, customer, and financial information. Integration and interoperability issues. Disparate tools and workflows. Many construction projects involve different teams using various tools and systems that don't sync effectively, leading to inefficiencies and errors. Lack of digital literacy. A gap exists in digital skills among the workforce, making it challenging to train them to use sophisticated technology and IT-related concepts effectively. Workforce and skills gaps. Insufficient skilled workforce. The industry faces a shortage of skilled workers, and there's a particular need for those with the IT expertise required to implement and manage advanced digital systems. Need for specialized training. Training employees to use new technologies is a major hurdle, as it requires teaching not just the tools, but also fundamental computer and IT concepts. 5 major construction industry challenges right now are highlighted here. The lack of skilled labor and labor shortages. Since the housing market crash and subsequent Great Recession, the construction industry faces a lack of skilled labor in the workforce. Many skilled laborers lost their job or transitioned out of the sector through job training programs, leaving the industry with a skilled labor challenge. The average age of the current skilled worker is 50 years old, and this is the second or third time they have experienced a bout of joblessness. The lack of skilled labor and labor shortages will need to be sorted by doing more with less. Instead of bringing on employees that increase overhead costs, hire contractors with specific skills. Now is also the time to bring on new technology to streamline processes and increase productivity. Construction professionals need to get creative with existing construction methods to tackle the rising cost of materials and the lack of skilled workers. All of these challenges make it difficult to complete construction projects on time to make a profit. 2. The increased risk with regard to health issues on a crowded job site. As well as the standard construction safety protocols, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, has also published guidance and recommendations for construction site safety and health standards. Still, there isn't a formal COVID-19 construction industry outbreak tracker. The lack of a national tracking system in place for construction-related COVID-19 outbreaks means many go unreported. It is important to have strong safety programs in place to make sure small businesses are negatively impacted further by the pandemic. While some state and municipal governments have measures in place, it's on each company to implement measures to protect employees. Once there is an outbreak on the job site, it runs the risk of a shutdown in an effort to keep workers safe. This can delay a construction project and lead to losses on the job. Other industries have the opportunity to work remotely, and in most cases, that's not an option for job site construction work. Project managers, general contractors, and others have to be at the construction site. While the construction industry's challenges include consistent workplace safety policies, now is the best time to adopt new technology, enabling a safer workplace and ongoing and timely communication. New technologies will help your team work smarter and faster. Inadequate planning in the implementation can lead to headaches. While younger workers might pick it up quickly, others might not. Ensure everyone is adequately trained on new tools and procedures. Leadership should provide the proper training to make sure the team is completing projects on time. Now more than ever, it's important for the construction industry to monitor emerging technologies that can help boost productivity and profits. Technology adoption is vital to continued success and to navigate new challenges that may arise. Empower your employees and contractors to stay on the job and help each other by developing a simple safety program. Offer incentives for following and staying safe on construction sites. For example, after 60 days free of health or safety issues, bring in a food truck for lunch or an extra paid vacation day. Given the labor statistics, it is important to keep employees safe and happy at the same time. While it might be hard to offer many benefits, showing employees you appreciate them by bringing in a food truck or offering another vacation day can help construction workers feel appreciated, especially the younger generation. Managing unstable material price and rocky supply chain management. The pandemic caused shutdowns in lumber mills this past spring during the rise in DIY remodeling and the booming housing market. As a result, lumber prices skyrocketed once they reopened, causing prices to rise on other building product materials. As lumber prices continue to increase, dealers are stocking up. The supply chain can cause people in the construction industry many headaches, so it's important to always be prepared. Finding the required construction materials has been a challenge. Till that caused many to think of ways to avoid a similar supply chain headache in the future that causes material costs to increase. Many hope emerging technologies can provide a solution. 4. Implementation of technology to gain a competitive edge. One of the biggest challenges facing the construction industry has been the slow adoption of technology. But this is changing. Customers are tech-savvy, and there's no better time to bring on new technology while social distancing on job sites, communicating with customers more often, and navigating what's next. While the pandemic has fast-tracked the industry forward and accelerated technology adoption, knowing what technology solution to choose can be daunting for the small builder, remodeler, and contractor. There are many solutions to choose from, and some are more powerful than others. Technology that fits your business and is quick to learn allows you to control how you propel your business forward. The things you're doing day in and day out that take up most of your time are the same things you should be doing on a software platform. Make the money you deserve, or salary structure. Cash is king, and keeping an eye on your cash flow is critical. One of the construction industry issues is that builders are not proactive in their cash flow management. It's essential to understand a few key points to make a profit. What is the break-even point? What are the fixed costs? And how much is left over? Margins are getting smaller, and the opportunity to build and maintain relationships with customers is becoming more challenging. Relying on video conferencing instead of meeting face-to-face makes it harder to make a deal in the construction business. The construction industry faces a host of significant challenges today. Labor shortages remain one of the top concerns, with skilled workers in high demand but short supply. Rising material costs and supply chain disruptions add further pressure, making budgeting and scheduling more difficult. Additionally, the industry must adapt to evolving safety standards and environmental regulations, while integrating new technologies like automation and digital project management. Navigating these obstacles requires innovation, adaptability, and a focus on sustainable, efficient practices. Please like, follow, and subscribe for more details. The construction industry in developing countries faces unique challenges, often compounded by socio-economic stress, limited resources, and institutional weaknesses. As globalization reshapes markets, these nations must adapt to complex construction demands, frequently relying on imported expertise and practices. Cultural differences and outdated procurement systems can hinder project success, highlighting the need for tailored approaches. Additionally, environmental concerns are increasingly urgent as developing countries confront severe ecological issues. Addressing these multifaceted challenges is essential for sustainable development and industry growth. The construction industry everywhere faces problems and challenges. However, in the developing countries, these difficulties and challenges are present alongside a general situation of socio-economic stress, chronic resource shortages, institutional weaknesses, and a general inability to deal with the key issues. There is also evidence that the problems have become greater in extent and severity in recent years. Many topical issues that have implications for the construction industry have, so far, only been discussed to a significant extent in the context of the industrialized countries. It is often considered that these matters do not, or not yet, concern the developing countries. This paper addresses some of these issues and analyses them from the perspective of the developing countries. It starts with construction industry development, which, ironically, is often seen as a need for only developing countries, although it is also relevant to industrialized countries. It then proceeds to discuss globalization, culture, and the environment. In each case, the relevance of the topic is highlighted, and examples of good initiatives and practices in other countries are discussed. In the penultimate section, the further discussion of each of the issues ends with a consideration of issues to be studied further by researchers. At the first meeting of this task group, it was agreed that construction industry development is a deliberate process to improve the capacity and effectiveness of the construction industry in order to meet the demand for building and civil engineering products and to support sustained national economic and social development objectives, CIB 1999. It was also agreed that construction industry development promotes a. Increased value for money to industry clients, as well as environmental responsibility. The construction industry, by nature, has many special problems and requirements. See Hillebrandt, 2000, for a discussion of the key features of the industry. The importance of taking measures to improve the performance of the construction industry has now been recognized in several countries at various levels of socio-economic development. Dedicated agencies have been formed in many countries to administer the continuous improvement of the industry, although they have different objectives, responsibilities, and levels of authority. In the UK, the Construction Industry Board is an industry initiative, whereas its counterpart institutions in developing countries are government agencies. Globalization is a trend which has occupied the headlines of major popular publications for several decades. There are sharply different arguments on the merits and otherwise of the process of globalization from the perspective of the developing countries. One of the short-term aims of the CIB Task Group 29, TG29, is to study the implications of globalization for the construction industries of developing countries. As far as these industries are concerned, globalization is an inescapable fact. This is because many of the construction projects that the nations require for their socio-economic development are beyond the capability of their industries to undertake, owing to the size, novelty, and complexity of those projects. Therefore, the developing countries must import some construction activities. The project procurement and administrative arrangements currently in use in developing countries have been inherited from Western countries, which have a different history, culture, collective experience, and breadth of construction expertise. These arrangements determine the documentation, procedures, and practices in the industry and specify the roles of the participants and the relationships among them, and hence the networks of power and authority. They stress formality and the following of set channels of communication. Ironically, the countries of origin of these procurement arrangements have changed their approaches. For example, after a comprehensive review of the UK construction industry, Latham, 1994, advocated the building of trust and a spirit of partnering in an industry characterised by mistrust, rivalries, and adversarialism. Moreover, the traditional procurement approach, which is still predominant in the Commonwealth countries, is now only one of many possible ones. Furthermore, the influences on the UK construction industry have come from other industrialised countries, mainly the US, showed that the failure to consider and incorporate cultural traits in the procurement systems of construction projects adopted in Southern Africa is a major contributor to the generally poor performance on projects. Studies in other countries might reach similar conclusions. The issue of the environment has been topical since the 80s and has been a major subject of research and international attention since the mid-80s. There is a belief that countries do, or should, only pay attention to the environment and endeavour to protect it when they attain a high level of socio-economic development. However, the issue of preserving the environment should be of even greater interest to developing countries since they face severe environment-related problems. Although smart technologies associated with the Fourth Industrial Revolution have the potential to improve the performance of industries by optimizing work processes and enhancing the work environment, the adoption of these technologies in the construction industry is still in its nascent stage. Hence, this study aims to investigate the challenges in adopting smart technologies, propose effective strategies to promote adoption of smart technologies, and investigate whether there are significant differences in the perceptions of the challenges and strategies by organizations' sizes and years of experience in the construction industry. To achieve the objectives, a comprehensive literature review and pilot interviews with industry experts were first conducted. The findings revealed that the top challenges faced are data and information sharing, regulatory compliance, and data ownership, while the most effective strategies are training of skilled construction workforce, provision of government incentives, and communication and change management. Furthermore, the criticality of regulatory challenges was perceived differently between organizations of different sizes. The findings provide a better understanding of the challenges faced and the strategies that have been perceived as effective by industry practitioners, which are essential starting points to develop a data-driven roadmap to drive the adoption of smart technologies to facilitate the digital transformation of the construction industry. Smart technologies in the Fourth Industrial Revolution can improve the performance of the construction industry with corresponding changes to project managers' knowledge and skills. This study investigated the impact of smart technologies on project management knowledge and skills required of project managers with the following research objectives. 1. To investigate the project management knowledge areas and skills that are important in managing projects with smart technologies. 2. To evaluate the changes in the relative importance of project management knowledge areas and skills in managing projects with smart technologies. And 3. To determine if project managers from different organization domains perceive the importance of the knowledge and skills differently. Project communication, cost, and risk management were found to be most important, with changes in the importance of project integration, stakeholder, scope, and procurement management when managing projects with smart technologies. The top skills required were found to be problem solving, information management, communication, project management, and planning and organizational skills. Higher importance was placed on technical and operational technology skills, information management skills, creativity, ethical awareness, strategic planning, active learning, decision-making, and motivation skills when managing projects with smart technologies. The findings from this study contribute to the knowledge through better understanding of the impact of smart technologies on project management knowledge and skills. This can serve as guidelines for practitioners to remain competent and consistently deliver successful projects with smart technologies. Contract disputes are an inevitable part of most construction projects, often arising from errors, ambiguous contracts, or the complexity of the work itself. In the United States, A tendency toward litigation adds unpredictability to legal and insurance costs, placing business relationships at risk. To prevent disputes, it's crucial to distribute risks equitably and use positive incentives to align contractor and owner goals. With increasingly intricate projects and documentation, proactive communication and thorough planning are essential for avoiding costly conflict. Contract disputes are a common aspect of most construction projects. The causes of these disputes can range from mistakes of inexperienced people to poorly written contracts to overly complex construction processes. The tendency toward litigation in the United States society also affects the construction industry. Legal and insurance expenses for owners, contractors, engineers, and architects are now unpredictable and threaten business success. Because the construction business relies heavily on repeat business, a company can be negatively affected, even by successful litigation, if it diminishes the possibility of future relationships. E-dispute prevention technique is equitable distribution of risks through the contract. Equitable risk distribution reduces disputes by minimizing the shifting of risks to a contracting party that has little or no control over the risk. Dispute prevention technique is the use of positive contractual incentives to reach certain performance results. Positive incentive programs are an effective means of aligning the contractor's goals with those of the owner. They can encourage superior performance and discourage claims-oriented conduct. Construction projects are increasingly complex, resulting in complex contract documents. Complex construction can likewise often result in complex disputes, which predominantly arise from the intricacy and magnitude of the work, multiple prime contracting parties, poorly prepared and/or executed contract documents, inadequate planning, financial issues, and communication problems. Any one of these factors can derail a project and lead to complicated litigation or arbitration, increased costs, and a breakdown in the parties' communication and relationship. This paper reviews the current methodologies for preventing and/or resolving construction conflicts. It is not meant to be an exhaustive review of each and every process, but rather to give the reader an overview of the advantages and disadvantages of each process when determining which one is right for a particular situation. Construction projects are increasingly complex, resulting in complex contract documents. Complex construction can likewise often result in complex disputes, which predominantly arise from the intricacy and magnitude of the work, multiple prime contracting parties, poorly prepared and/or executed contract documents, inadequate planning, financial issues, and communication problems. Any one of these factors can derail a project and lead to complicated litigation or arbitration, increased costs, and a breakdown in the parties' communication and relationship.